na duha ka klase pag multiply of vectors. Kung gilantaw ninyo ang video nga gi-share na ako kay Sir Roel, iyan ang gi-discuss dadto. So magsugod sa tao ila-ila sa duha ka klase, no? I think na naman may idea na kung sorry. Sige, pag-yapon siya din ako ma-move. Ayun. So, again, kung wala may pangutana class, natay proceed ta sa vector sa multiplication. So, saan na to pag multiply of vectors. So, naidwa ka klase na primero kay natay gitawag na scalar product, or sometimes ginatawag po ni siya og dot product. Okay? Ang ikaduha kay natay gitawag nga vector product, or gitawag ni siya og cross product. So, unsay kalainan sa duha? So from the name itself, so lantawan ninyo scalar product. So that would mean na kay duha ka vector imuhang i-multiply. So ang symbol sa pag-multiply class kay dot. Mo ni siyang gitawag po ni siya og dot product. Kita ninyo kay naay dot pero nasa tunga, no? Kita niyo nasa tunga. Now ang resulta nila kay na kay duha ka vectors i-multiply, ang resulta kay scalar quantity. So that's amazing, no? Duha ka vectors i-multiply nimo ang mugawas kay scalar quantity. That's why gitawag siya scalar product. So unsay kalainan sa scalar of vector, na-establish naman nato na scalar quantity, ang iyang concern lang is all about the magnitude. Unsa siya kadakon, kalapdon, kapaspason, etc. On the other hand, ang imong vector product, okay? So vector product from the word from the word here vector, so that would mean na kay duha ka vector imong i-multiply. So here mo ang gitawag siya cross product pod because of the sign here in between, so you have x cross. So ang resulta niya is a vector quantity. Okay?
Okay,
So,
sir.
okay? So now, focus sa scalar product. So na-discuss naman ni Sir Roel ang definition sa scalar product. Okay. So ang definition sa mga scalar product is this. Na kay vector A and then vector multiplied by vector B. So ang iyang definition na is just you take the magnitude of the first vector. So that would mean take the magnitude. So this is the symbol for the magnitude. Okay, so kaunin mo magnitude sa first vector here and then multiplied by the magnitude of the second vector, so magnitude ani, and then times cosine of the angle between the two. So that would mean if this is this is vector A here, and then naka vector B here. So ang angle between them is actually theta. So ang physical interpretation nato sa scalar product is just mura siya projection sa imong vector A into vector B. So murag sometimes gitawag ni siya og the projection. So tawag ni siya og the projection of vector A onto vector B. So kinaaman kay pag-project niya dira sa nakay components here nga naglay sa imong vector B. Okay? So but then you have to take note that ang imuhang standard definition for scalar product is actually this. This is the physical interpretation. Okay? Physical meaning imuhang imagination anang scalar product. Kung saan nimo pag-associate, kung saan nimo unsay representation niya physically. So remember, this is vector man na, so this could be displacement, force, momentum, velocity, etc. Okay? Anyways,
Lugay ka mo pa, sir.
Oh, dili na ako makuha kini mo gusto na ako ni kini bitong scroll bar sa right hand side. Sa right side. Dugay man ako matutlo ka makita agad. So dugay na ako ma-scroll down. Anyways, let's proceed. So now, ang gusto na ko ibuhaton is suppose kini siya example ani niya class kining scalar product makita niyo ni siya later on kung mag-solve mo work. Okay? Work is nothing but the scalar product of force and displacement. So that's why sa una, okay, i-discuss naman natin yung thoroughly, but then diri na to makita ang manifestation sa imong scalar product. So work is just, okay, by definition lang tawon nimo, di ba, kuhaon nimo ang magnitude sa first times magnitude sa second. So that would mean na kay magnitude sa imong force here times magnitude sa imong displacement, and then cosine of the angle between the two. So kung nakay butang, so for example, nakay object, for example, nakay object here, and di siya mass M, so nakay force nga gi-apply padulong didto F, and then nag-move ang imong object padulong didto, this is displacement. So imong kuan dayon pangutan na is pilay work done from point 1, suppose that's point 1 padulong, for example, dalon nimo siya padulong dani point 2. So tigaan kag displacement, this one kini nga distance, kini nga displacement, and then tigaan po kag force, and then pangitaon na ni kadayon what is work. So work has this form, which is actually similar sa imong scalar product. Okay? So now, suppose, okay, so murag example na siya sa application sa imong scalar product, no? Sa concept sa scalar product, sa later nga concept, which is actually ang work done. So now, ang buhaton ako ni karon is, how do you, okay, suppose tigaan kag duha ka vectors, and then how do you perform the scalar product? So for example, na ako'y suppose na ako'y vector A, which is actually given by this. Butang na ako 2 meters I hat plus 3 meters J hat plus 5 meters K hat. Okay, ay mo ka siya kag ibutangan na nako third na component. Okay, but then okay, later on sa higher physics na to pwede pa na vector tigaan mo og higher nga mga additional dimensions. But then here, we stop lang ta until third dimension. It's actually the z component. So now, suppose tigaan ka ng vector A, then let's have vector B. So vector B, for example, na kay negative 1 meters I hat, and then positive, say for example, 2 meters j hat, and then negative 2 meters k hat. Now, so na napunta class, lugay na po kayo dayon po ni karon. Oops, isa na ini sulod. So now, dugay kayo na ako mag-click ang kuan. Sorry, yun. Kaya na mag-click ang kilid. Yun, so nakay karon ka find the scalar product of vector A and vector B. Okay? So now, say button ni Wana. So okay, ang imong solution would be, okay, so button ni mo is A dot B is equal to I. Malay copy. So you have 2 meters I hat plus 3 meters j hat plus 5 meters k hat times, okay, scalar product dot ha, na dot negative 1 meters I hat, 1 meter I hat plus 2 meter j hat minus 2 meters k hat. So na imong buhaton na kay, okay, so by brute force atong ikon ko ano, itong distribute there, algebra na to, this is, so na kay first term nimo you have 2 times negative 1, so that pila man na 2 times negative 1, that's negative 2 meter square, tama? So you have meter times meter, so 2 times 1, that's 2. But then positive 2 man siya times negative 1, so that's why na kay negative 2. Then na kay I dot I. So that would mean, ato lang na ikopya, kaya wapata kay balo, pila na I dot I. O nga, can you follow?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is the first
Okay.
term. Okay? Ikaduha nga term, kini distribute na to padulong sa second. So you have 2 times 2. You have positive 2 times positive 2. So that would mean plus
4.
4 meters squared. So you have a unit, okay? A unit vectors, you have I hat dot with j hat. Nga?
Yes, sir.
Okay?
Yes, sir.
So, sunod kay ang ikaduha, ay katulod, which is actually this times that. So you have 2 times negative 2. So that would mean that's minus 4. M square. And then you have I hat dot K hat. What?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, remember, ang first term pa ni atong gi-distribute dito. So atong buhaton na siya sa ikaduha, second term. Distribute nato dani. Okay? So that would be mag-change of color para at least makita ninyo. So ini times that. So that would mean positive 3 times negative 1. That is negative 3 meters square. And then you have j hat dot I hat. Can you follow?
Yes, sir.
Next, this one. So you have 3, positive 3 times positive 2. So that would mean that's positive 6. So you have meter square. You have, okay, m times m. So you have meter square. And then you have j dot j. What? Next would be this one and that one. So 3, positive 3 times negative 2. So that would mean that's negative 6 m square, and then you have j dot k hat. Okay? So, and then the last one. Good. Let's see. Sorry. Google lagi na ako lagi. Yun. Sorry. So now I'll use a different color. Okay, so the last one would be this one. This one, distribute na ko dana. So you have 5 times negative 1. That would be negative 5 m squared. So you have k hat dot I hat. Okay? Next, this one times that one. So you have positive 5 times positive 2, that's positive 10. Sorry. Positive 10 m squared. You have k hat dot j hat. Then lastly, this one times this one. So you have positive 5 times negative 2, that is negative 10 m squared, and then you have k hat dot k hat. Okay? Can you follow? What class?
Sir.
So nakay ang vector ni mo, vector A kay 3 components, ang imuhang vector B kay 3 components, so therefore ang imuhang resulta ay nakay 9 ka components. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Tama? So now, atong buhaton is unsa may final answer ana niya, sir? Unsa may final expression. So what you do is this. Notice, pila ning I hat dot I hat o I hat dot j hat o I hat dot k hat. Okay, so now, ang buhaton is so remember, that ang imuhang vector, so I mean definition sa scalar product is you have A dot B na kay atong sa taas nga definition class, so you have magnitude of A and magnitude of B times the angle between the two. Tama? So now, if I have na ako'y I dot I, so remember, ang imong I hat, j hat, and k hat are also vectors. Unit vector man na sila, di ba? So mo-obey gyapon siya ani nga rule. General rule, kini nga definition. Okay? So that would mean I hat dot I hat is equal to what? Sa atong buhaton ng solve. So ang first ang definition says that pauni mo ang magnitude sa I hat. Now what's the magnitude of I hat? So nakahibalo man ta nga ang magnitude sa I hat is just equal to 1. Kay unit vector man siya. So definition man niya. anata, unit vectors are pointing vectors. So naka-assign siya sa specific na direction, and that ang iyahang magnitude is just equal to unity or 1. That is why gitawag siya unit vector. So again, using this definition here, so you have magnitude sa first is actually 1 times magnitude of the second. This is the magnitude of I hat is also equal to 1. And then cosine of the angle between the two. Now, what's the angle between the two? So kung mao ni imong I hat, so di ba sorry. So kung mao ni imong x-axis here, sorry. Mao ni imong xy axis. Okay, balutan na ang imong I hat is actually naadani. So naasa positive x-axis na side. Now, so akong gidraw lugar class, akong gidraw ang first unit vector, which is actually this. Now, sunod kay i-draw na ako ang sunod nga unit vector. So for example, unit vector ani, kining draw aning location aning second unit vector. Ang unit vector na to is also the same with this. So now the question is, what is the angle between the two? Pila angle class between the two? So nakakaiduha ka vector, unit vector here naglay entirely the same, nagpatong. So ang imuhang kaganina, kung nakay vector A dana, and then nakay vector B here, so the angle between the two is theta. But then here nakay I hat, and then ang I hat po dara po dana. So what's the angle between the two? So the angle between the two is equal to 0. Agree? Are you there?
Yes, sir.
Nakuha ninyo?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Sir.
0.
Yes, sir.
The angle,
Zero.
the angle between R hat and I hat is 0. So therefore, this is 0 here. So now, cosine 0 is what? Cosine 0 is just equal to 1. Right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this
Yes,
is
sir.
cosine 0 is just
Yes,
equal
sir,
to 1.
1.
So I have 1 times 1 times 1 is just equal to 1. So therefore, okay. So therefore, this is, kini siya, this is just equal to 1. Nakuha?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So now, notice if we consider the other,
Yes, sir.
components, like for example, if we look at j hat dot j hat, so unsa resulta ni class? So again, j hat dot j hat, so you have unit magnitude of j hat is just equal to 1. That's a unit vector. Multiplied by the magnitude of the second vector, this is the second vector, so you have, that's also equal to 1. Now, what is the angle between j hat? So ang j hat nimo kay naama na siya sa y-axis class. So this is y-axis. So that's j hat. So j hat here, and then ako kay j hat. So basically, the angle between the two is what? This is also 0. The angle between j hat and j hat is also 0. Can you follow?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So therefore, bottom line is cosine 0 is just equal to 1. So basically, j hat dot j hat is also equal to 1. So this is also equal to 1. How about k hat? How about k hat dot k hat? Can you guess now? So kung na kay k
1, sir.
hat, k hat, k hat. So this is also, that's also, the angle between
Zero.
the k hat and k hat is equal to 0. So this is also equal to 1. So therefore this is just equal to 1. Okay, so bottom line is if naa kay unit vector na parehas, imo siyang i-dot. I hat dot I hat, that produces, that is just equal to 1. The same with j hat dot j hat, that's just equal to 1. And finally, k hat dot k hat is just equal to 1. Okay, remember that. Now, how about the others? For example, kining I dot j. So now, ato na siyang lantawon, I dot j. So again, kailangan ko space. Okay. So now, lantawon na to ang I hat dot j hat. Okay. So inside definition, so you have magnitude sa I hat is equal to 1. Right? Times magnitude sa vector 2. Okay, second vector is actually j hat is that's also equal to 1. And now times cosine of the angle between the two. Now, unsay angle between the two? Now, if you try to look at here, this is I hat. This is j hat. Okay, so the angle between the two is 90 degrees. So therefore, this is cosine 90 degrees. Cosine 90 is what? That's 0.
0.
So therefore, I dot j is just, you have, this is 0. So 0 times 1 and 0 times this will be 0. So this is the same thing with j dot I. So pwede parehas ra na sa class kay pwede man nato i-kuan no. Lahi-lag interpretation, but then mathematically ang I dot j of j dot j hat dot I, okay, this is just the same. Diba? This is also 0. Murag na kay associativity o commutativity. Kumbaga. So okay, kung imo pa nang i-solve class, parehas ra magyapon. The angle between the two is 90 degrees. So cosine 90 degrees is 0. So that's why that's 0. So that would mean, okay, na naka-idea. Sorry. Nag-loading na po siya. Ay, nag-loading. Nag-ano po siya. Ayun. So that would mean, balik ko dari class. So that would mean, di ba, nibalaan na to, balaan na to, I hat dot I hat is equal to 0. So this is, ini siya nga expression is 0. This one also, j hat dot I hat is 0. So 0 times that is 0. So ini siya nga term kay mawala. Ini siya nga term po kay mawala. Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay. So now sa pagyod, let's go back to the other cases, like how about j dot k. So how about j hat dot k hat. So that would mean j dot k hat. Again, class, ang kining pointing vector nimo kay they are actually arranged such that ang ilahang angle between them is actually 90 degrees. So that's why kaganina ang katong imuhang last time kung naa ko yung vector ng kiniklas, so kung lantawan nato ni, so kung mao ni imuhang j hat here, mo ni imong j hat, mo ni imong I hat, and then kini mo ni imong k hat. So the angle between the two, kining I hat o j hat o I hat kay 90 degrees, and then ang kini po dayong k hat and I hat is also 90 degrees, and then sa pa remaining j hat kini, j hat and k hat is also 90 degrees. Bottom line is ang term ang tawag na to na kay orthonormal ang orthonormal ang ijk, nimo. So meaning the angle between them is actually equal to 90 degrees. So this one, kung lantawan nimo ning j hat dot k hat, so that would mean kung i-apply nimo ning definition, so you have magnitude of j hat is equal to 1, magnitude of k hat is equal to 1, but the angle between the two, so the angle between j hat and k hat is actually this, di ba? So this is your j hat here, this is your k hat, and the angle between the two kini siya, which is also 90 degrees. Orthonormal man sila. So therefore, cosine 90 degrees is actually 0. 0 times any number that kills the entire expression. So that means that's also 0. So that would mean ang imong k hat dot j hat is also equal to 0. Okay? Okay?
Okay, sir.
So that would mean, kung mabalik ka din sa taas, kini siya nga expression is actually 0. So that would mean this kills the entire expression, entire term. So the entire term is actually 0. The same with kini. Naman kay j hat here. Diba? J hat dot k hat is also 0. So that would mean this is also 0. So gamay na lang. How about the last one would be ang I dot k hat. So ang I dot k hat nimo is again 1. The angle between the two is what? This is I here. This is k hat here. So the angle between the two is equal to 90 degrees. So you have 90 degrees here. So this is also equal to 0. So this is also the same with k hat dot I hat. So this is equal to 0. So remember that. So bottom line is ang kini so that's I that basta parehas, that's just equal to 1. Pag dili parehas, that's 0. Okay? So nakakay combination nga I dot j, or you have j dot I, or nakakay combination nga j dot k, okay? Or k dot j hat, or nakakay I hat dot k hat, or k hat dot I hat, that is just equal to 0. So you have to take note about this for scalar multiplication. So that would mean sa taas, balik na diri class. So we would have this one. So you have this one is also 0. And then I hat dot k hat, haman to. This one also, I hat dot k hat is also 0. So ang mag-survive class kay ini lang. Ini ay kana. So na kay negative 2. So na kay sulat na ako. Negative 2, negative 2 plus 6 o negative 10. Ilang na class?
Negative 6, sir.
Negative 6.
Negative 2 plus
Negative 6, sir.
6 and then negative 10. So you have negative 6. Very good. So you have, sulat na ako dari. So therefore, So therefore, A, A dot B is equal to negative 6, ano? Answer?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Negative 6.
Negative 6. So imo nang gi-add na negative 6m square. So that's the answer. So pagkahaba-haba. So bottom line class is, okay. Bottom line is, pag mag-multiply kag scalar product, ang imuhang lantawon lang, ang mag-contribute lang is ang katong iyahang parehas o components.